There is an invisible language that top personal brands like Iman, Luke Belmar, and Alex Hormozi are using to hook you. In the last 2.5 years, I have gained over 430,000 subscribers by using this invisible language. And if you're not, well, you're probably just wasting your time making content that no one will ever watch. So in this video, I'm gonna share 3 highly effective strategies that will help you articulate your ideas better than anyone else. Then at the end, I'm gonna share my storytelling templates that I use to consistently get millions of views on YouTube. My YouTuber friends are not gonna be happy I'm sharing this with you. Before I reveal the invisible language that large creators use to get millions of views, you need to understand that words are just a tool for communicating a message. And the words we use often have an underlying meaning. If someone asks me to go to a party and I reply, I am sick, the main message that I'm communicating is that I can't go to the party. So we have the words that I'm saying, I am sick, but the message that is being conveyed, I can't go to the party. This is called the effective truth. Effective truth is an extremely powerful yet controversial way to manipulate someone's perception to get your desired outcome. Now, if I just decided to reply, I can't go to the party with my words, I would get a message back something along the lines of, everyone is gonna go, you have to be there. Then I would probably agree to go because I felt socially pressured. But if I say I'm sick, the other person will immediately assume 3 things. I feel bad, I'm probably contagious, and I shouldn't go to the party. So effective truth lets me communicate more information in less words. Now, I say controversial because in theory, you could say I am sick to get out of not going to the party, even though you're fully healthy, which is a lie and is unethical. But if you are genuinely sick, then saying I am sick is just a much more efficient way of saying I can't go to the party. So before I move on, I need you to promise me that you will only use what I teach you in this video with good intentions and to communicate more efficiently. Iman has almost 5 million subscribers, and he is one of the most articulate creators on YouTube. So let's look at one of his most recent videos that got over 4.4 million views and reveal this invisible language. So he starts off by saying,
you are young.
I'm 17 years old.
You're ambitious.
I worked my face off.
And you want to make it big early in your life.
He is subtly, but very intentionally layering in a psychology principle called commitment. He opens with this so the viewer gives themselves an identity. Psychology says that if you think of yourself as a certain type of person, you will act in a way that you think that type of person is supposed to act. So if he can assign you that identity, then, well, he can tell you how to act. Now, simultaneously, he is showing you images of him when he was 18 years old. Because according to psychology, people like people who are similar to them. This is called likeness, but I'll touch on that in just a minute. The effective truth that he is communicating is that we are the same, but it doesn't stop here. 2 sentences later, he says,
I made my first $1 million at 18 years old, and no matter what you see on TikTok, I want you to know that that is not normal.
He does this to assert his authority by showing that he has achieved what the viewer wants to achieve. The effective truth he is communicating is, you should listen to me. So if we color code the psychology that he used in this hook, we can see how strategic it actually is. So here is the logic of the hook. Commitment plus likeness, desired outcome, authority, and how we will achieve the desired outcome. So every line serves a clear purpose, and this formula is designed to hook you. And we can see that it doesn't end after the first 30 seconds. 15 seconds later, he says this.
A very large portion of why I'm in the position I am today is because of luck, or the grace of God in my opinion, and timing.
Again, he is using the psychology principle, likeness. At this point, the viewer might be thinking that getting rich is unachievable and that Iman just has some really high IQ. So that line is strategically placed in there to make the viewer feel like there's nothing special about him and that he's just like you. The effective truth? If I can do it, so can you. Now, this one is my favorite because of how subtle the language is.
Tons of people over the years asked me to do like Q&As on Instagram.
He could have said, I want to start doing Q&As, or I'm going to start doing Q&As. But he very specifically said, people ask me to do Q&As. This is the psychology principle of social proof. And the effective truth that it conveys is that if other people want to hear from me, so should you. And he closes it off like the artist he is.
I usually tell my team to let in 1,000 or 2,000 people a week.
This is a classic use of the psychology principle urgency, because really there is no real reason to limit people that you let in, but the goal of this is to get people to take action now. The effective truth is, if you don't follow me now, you're going to miss out. So what he is really communicating in the first 90 seconds of this video is, we are the same. You should listen to me because I've done it. You can do it too because I'm not special. Other people that listen to me have done it, and you need to do it now. So we do this because there's a general rule in content, and that is if you can get someone to watch for the first minute, then they are probably going to watch the entire video. So the first minute of this video is dedicated to pure psychological warfare. And that invisible language is why this video has 4.4 million views. So if you want to hook people and get them to listen to, you need to intentionally layer in these psychology principles and understand why we use them. Whether you're selling a course, becoming a copywriter, building a SaaS, or anything in sales, this is the actual skill you need to learn to get views for any business. Yet, no one tells you this because if you see through their tactics, well then you won't buy from them. So that is the difference between an amateur content creator and a professional who has been studying the game for 7 years. So if you want my color-coded psychology system and the transcript that I showed in this video, just click the first link in the description and I'll send it to you for free. Psychology is just part one of becoming more articulate. Have you ever watched an Alex Hormozi podcast and just been impressed with how clearly he explains his ideas in simple ways? A sign of a truly smart and cultivated person is not the fancy words they use. It's about their ability to communicate with someone successfully. The only goal of communication is to convey a message. So the quicker you can explain an idea, the better. That is why writing is important. Writing out an idea is how you find the most efficient way to communicate a concept. You cut out all the fluff and you're left with the most optimized sentence structure. This is then ingrained in your memory and allows you to recite your ideas flawlessly in public, which is why I script my videos. That way, every word hits with precision. Before I started doing this, I would ramble, I would talk too fast, and frankly, sound like an idiot. But now I know exactly what to say and how to say it. This is why Alex Hormozi does so well on podcasts. For the first 6 hours of his day, all he does is write. So every day he is spending time dialing in how to phrase his ideas. Then when he goes on podcasts, his ideas are refined and he comes off supremely articulate. This is also why authors tend to do so well on podcasts. They have spent years refining their research into writing and can now recite that knowledge from memory on podcasts. So if you want to become more articulate, sit down, think through your ideas, and write them out. Then edit it, cut out the fluff, and boom, you'll know exactly what to say and how to say it every time. Now that we have our psychology principles sorted and our ideas written out, now we need to structure them. Or in other words, we need to put the pieces in the right order. To do this, I follow a storytelling framework. Imagine a storytelling framework as an emotional roller coaster you want to take the viewer on. Here is the story arc for Cinderella. The movie starts with Cinderella with her stepmother and evil sisters. And they are very mean to her and she is stuck doing all the chores she doesn't want to do. But then she gets invited to a big fancy ball. And then she goes to this ball and she meets the prince of her town. Her and the prince hit it off and have an amazing night. But Cinderella eventually has to leave the ball, and when she gets back, her stepmother and her sisters find out she went against their wishes and they punish her even more. Cinderella is at an all-time low, hopeless, thinking she'll never see the prince again. But Cinderella left her shoe at the party and the prince has been on a mission to find her. The prince goes all around town trying to find whose foot can fit inside this slipper. And eventually he finds Cinderella, her foot fits the slipper, and they live happily forever after. So this graph is a symbol of the emotional roller coaster the viewer goes on. So this gives you the structure to follow, and now you just need to plug your ideas into the right place. The one I used for this video is called the Dan Harmon Story Wheel. Dan Harmon is the creator of shows like Community, Rick and Morty, Silicon Valley, and the interesting thing is that it doesn't matter what show they are writing for. They follow the same 8-step framework for every episode. It works like this. So we have you, what the video is about. Then we have need, why the audience needs to do it. Go, what we need to do to accomplish it. Then search, start doing it. Find, we start teaching. Take, we have a call to action. Return, we keep teaching step 2 and 3. We keep providing value. Then lastly, change. what we learned, and we recap the benefits. And how this applies to this video goes as follows. I started out with you need go. You being an invisible language people use to get millions of views. Need, if you want to get 1 million views, you need to learn this. Go, I laid out how we were going to actually learn it, all in the first 90 seconds. Then we searched, aka I provided context by explaining effective truth. Next, I went to the actual value of the video in the find section, breaking down Iman's psychology analysis. Then I took by adding a call to action to get my template. Next, I returned back to teaching step 2 and 3, write out your ideas and use storytelling frameworks, which is a section right now. And lastly, we have change. So let's get into that. So if you're still watching this video, then by definition, my dark arts of psychology worked on you after all. So in the first 3 seconds, I used social proof by showing you examples of how other personal brands are using this strategy to get millions of views. Psychology says people are influenced in their decision-making by others, compelling them to act within societal norms. So since all those other people are doing it, you feel like you should as well, because it's the social norm. I do this so you don't feel like it's just me, a random person, telling you how to live your life, because that would have you put your guard up. Then immediately after that, I defined my authority. This is important because to you, I'm a complete stranger and you have no idea if you should listen to me or not. And defining my authority by showing the results that I've gotten using this strategy makes it so you trust that I know what I'm talking about. Next, I sprinkled in some urgency. I needed you to feel like this was something that was important for you to learn now and not something you could just put off. This is designed to increase retention, which will push this video further in the YouTube algorithm. Psychology says creating a sense of urgency is a powerful tool to drive people to take action. So by saying you're wasting your time making content if you don't do this, well, then it feels pretty important to watch this video so you don't keep wasting your time. And the last psychology principle is the value I provided by analyzing the psychology that Iman uses in his hook. Odds are this is a new perspective for you on creating content, and you may have felt an emotional rush. Something along the lines of, wow, I've never thought of it like that before, or hey, I could actually do this. Since I gave you value, this now enacts the psychology principle of reciprocity. Psychology says that it is a social norm in which one person gives something to one person and that person gives something back in return. So this is why I strategically offered you the psychology template at this point in the video. It was right after I provided value. It works something like this. I teach you something new and give you a template to help you make better content. And in return, you give me your email address so I can sell you things in the future. It's a win-win. Now, I am opening myself up here by sharing this all with you, but my goal is to be as honest as possible and just call it how it is. I think it's about time someone shows you how this whole content creation / personal brand game works, and I think I'll be the best in the world at doing that for you. The psychology principles that I strategically layered in this video are why it will get 100,000 views. Not because I have a bunch of fancy equipment or I have a lot of subscribers. My last podcast got like 7,000 views, so I'm not guaranteed views anymore. A brand new creator can shoot a video on an iPhone and get millions of views. It happens all the time. Charlie Morgan has taken over recently, and he is just recording on an iPhone. But if you pay attention to how he opens each video, you will start to notice a pattern.
So I've made nearly $20 million in the last few years online, and you've probably seen people like me.
It is all psychology. Every time I open my home feed, I see videos with just a few hundred views. So it's clear that YouTube is giving everyone a chance now. The new YouTube algorithm just pushes good content, and good content uses psychology. I say this because people don't get a lot of views because they have a lot of subscribers. It's because people with a lot of subscribers have just learned the skill of making good content after making hundreds of videos. Look at how Alex Hormozi opens up every one of his presentations. Authority, social proof. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. This is how the game of content is played. And if you learn the game, well, the rewards are massive. So just think of me as your friendly content coach. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.